Welcome to the 24th episode of Teachers Classes Presents Bollywood TALKies with Outlook. I'm your host, Mitrajit Bhattacharya, and my guest tonight is a filmmaker who's a recipient of Padma Bhushan and a winner of awards at Venice, Cannes, and other important global film festivals. She can easily be termed as the most prominent Indian voice at the world stage of cinema. Here is a short clip of her journey. It's my honor and privilege to welcome you, Mira Nair, to Teachers Classes Presents Bollywood TALKies with Outlook.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I can see a huge contraption on your left shoulder. So if you could just take us through what's that? I mean, it looks like a spaceship.
I'll put this. Actually, this particular contraption is thanks to my wonderful, wonderful friend and actor, Ishan Khattar, who sent this to me 2 days ago because I have just come out of surgery from my left shoulder. I fell in the park and ripped my rotator cuff, and it's excruciatingly painful. But I'm much better now. But Ishan researched and found me this contraption, which is basically a ice suit around my shoulder, because ice therapy is the only thing to deal with the nerve damage, and the pain of the nerve damage. So this is my second day in this, and it is so good because I'm all strapped in.
Congratulations. A Suitable Boy is finally streaming on Netflix from today. I saw it. I loved it.
Oh, very good. That's a relief.
How do you look back at the journey of creating a 1400-page epic into this 6-part miniseries? It must have been a huge task to decide what not to keep.
I don't look back, dear Mitrajit. I'm only just done. I actually haven't even seen the series on the big screen because I can't, in this time of COVID. So I'm very curious and looking forward really to the people seeing it. But I am, I did my fullest and within the game, within the constraints of what we had. But also, I'm very, honored to be able to have really made something that has deeply affected me, as the novel has, and as Vikram's work has, and also it very much, at least on the level that I wanted to, which was entirely on location, entirely with subcontinental actors. I fought a battle to bring it back from English to a mix of Hindustani, Avdi, and Urdu, and to some extent won that. But so, and oh my God, and the absolutely great joy that I have, which kept me through the struggles of the project, the great joy of working with the most extraordinary actors in the world, whom I love and know, and no one said no to me. So I got who I wanted, and they are just extraordinary. So, the most, like, even Vijay Raz, a lot of people who came into it are like, I've brought them to the cinema, even Ram Kapoor for that matter. But people were so generous with me, Mitrajit. They just said, yes, yeah, do scene bhi hai to theek, no problem. And they would leave schedules. And Manoj Pawa, Shahana, unbelievable gems, who gave it their all, despite the economy of what we were doing. Yeah.
Did you involve Vikram Seth in screenplay and casting of A Suitable Boy?
not I mean, he always saw the screenplay and stuff, and when I had a question that I wanted to really discuss with him, he was perfectly available. So we spent a few days together, night and day, in Delhi and then in England, on issues that were very important to me. The and mostly the issues were political. How
Right.
to, for me, it was very much, I wanted to make it much like he had actually, in some senses, written it, which was a mirror to our world today. How are we where we are today? The seeds were planted then in his story and in reality. So I wanted to get, and yet today is such a different extreme environment. And so I wanted to do justice to the story so that it had great resonance the, for the person watching it today, for us not just to remember where we came from, but uh, to see how the seeds of conflict were planted then and are emanate and are getting fruit now, sadly. For instance, that was one aspect. With casting, I my instinct is usually spot on. I have to fall in love, and I find the casting is absolutely the essence of things for me a lot of times. And so, yes, I always had to show my wares and say I'd like this person, but there was never any conflict of
Right.
approval or this or that. It was really mostly a welcoming, and never a conflict.
Tabu is back on your set after The Namesake, plays the pivotal character of Saida Bai in A Suitable Boy. Take us through your relationship with Tabu, both as an actor and as a friend.
Tabu was the first person ever cast. She was always Saida Bai, and she was Saida Bai the night I landed in India, which was January 2018, which was literally 2 years before we actually faced the cameras. And she was with me from the beginning because look at her. I mean, she's, anyway. So, about her as an actor, she is, in the great realm of the mysterious actor, the actor who has great, like, literally, who carries such a fountain within them, but has already practiced the rigor and the economy of what it takes. Mostly that base is truth. She never fakes it ever, but she knows the craft also so well. So ek jhalak mein sab kuch duniya milti hai, but the jhalak will not happen randomly. It's so finely crafted. But the truth is constant, and the allure, I mean, it's like, it's, I have worked with great legendary actors, and there's a reason they become legendary, and she is so in that realm because whatever you do with Tabu, there is still that kind of fountain of mystery,
Right.
which
That's
makes
right.
you keep wanting to see her because she's very there, but also preserving something that is so deeply powerful, actually, that it becomes very moving. So when it's extraordinary, and yet as a girlfriend, as a friend, she is, all we do is pretty much cackle, and we love clothes, we love or the adornment,
Right.
in the most what can I say, in the most what in every way, we are aesthetes, both of us, and
Right.
and that's also very enjoyable. But she's got the wickedest sense of humor, and it keeps the life alive, and there's no pretense, there's no party nonsense, seedha baat karte hain. And the care and the intelligence that she has, every word, when we decided on the balance between Urdu and English for her, every word was sifted with Tabu. She's not detached from the from the craft of what we are doing at all. She's deeply involved.
An integral part of the series is its music, and it was beautifully crafted. How did you go about creating the music of A Suitable Boy?
Thank you, Mitrajit. Music is my oxygen, really. It's a good Bengali phrase I learned from Kolkata from a judge that I once auditioned. I said, "How can you be a judge and then come and be an actor at night?" And he said, "It is my oxygen," and I loved that. And I think that about music, and it was music very much that drew me to the making of Salam Bombay. Um, First, the music of Saida Bai, the ghazals of the Ghalib and Daag and Mir, and the ones that so eloquently Vikram had
That
written
was
of.
Kavita Set, right?
Yes, and then we took those poems that Vikram refers to in the story, and then we took them to Kavita Seth, who is extraordinary because I chose Kavita for her voice. Her voice was very close to Tabu's and very
Right,
beautiful,
right.
but did not know that she was a composer herself. So she made the tunes, the melodies to those seven ghazals.
Right.
So the first thing we did long ago in July 2019 was record with Kavita, who and her amazing musicians, and in the style of that time, which is and my favorite instruments, the sarangi and so on. So first that was the cornerstone, really, and then it was really aspiring for the voice of Lata in the music,
Right.
And for me, again, it was only one person, which was Anushka Shankar,
Right.
who in her sitar, which has the sweetness and the ancientness of her father's playing, uh,
Right.
but it has a modern kind of pop, not pop as in a modern kind of young, um, life in it, which is very beautiful and very Lata, that she comes from the old ways, but she is
Right.
her own woman, she's her own
Absolutely.
world. And then Alex Heffes is the main composer, and he's somebody is a very worldly soul, and we've worked together on Queen of Katwe, and he's extraordinary, and he knows me well, and so the idea is how to create and bring Ashwin Srinivasan, the brass bands of Goa, the Shujat, of course, Ustad Shujat Khan,
Obviously.
extraordinary.
And
Uh,
we saw him.
but
We saw him also
yes,
perform in the
on
series. Yeah.
screen, yeah, yeah. Alex also, is such a generous and embracing composer of all these great classical musicians. But still, he did extraordinary thematic work. The orchestration, we had the 30-piece orchestra at Budapest that we recorded remotely during COVID. I mean, we had a big adventure with how the music was actually made in A Suitable Boy in this year.
You shot extensively in Lucknow, Kanpur, and Maheshwar, but
Yes.
decided to skip Kolkata and Varanasi, which prominently feature in the story. Any reasons?
Oh, well, deciding to skip Kolkata was a real blow for me because of it, and it was just a budgetary thing. We could not afford, with such a vast crew, to actually move the unit to more than the three places we were moving to. That was one. And then, two, Calcutta, as you must know, and as I know very well because I grew up there, is so changed, alas. It is what I call is it's period buggered. It's deeply period buggered in the sense that I can't shoot on Chaurangi today and not spend a bomb on visual effects to just clean it up. It would not be Chaurangi what I wanted. So we
Right.
found this Choraya in Kanpur of all places that
Okay.
we that looked not like Chaurangi but more like Baliganj, more like that, those circular, anyway, balustrades that,
Right. Right.
very Kolkata, that we then spent weeks dressing and designing, and we could only work at night there. So we created, the New Year's lights of Trinkas and Fleuries and Park Street, basically. We created what I was really wanting to shoot in was the Park Avenue Cemetery. And I thought, where will I find that anywhere else? And I found it in the residency in Lucknow because it's the same era
Yeah.
and it's the same shrines. And then we built a lot of our own, Rose Elmer's grave and all we built there.
Right.
So we had to do all that. But the great thing is that in Kolkata now there's only one, those bankers flats, that used to be there, Middleton mansions and
Right.
Fairlawn, those things, they hardly exist there anymore.
Right.
And so for the Chatterjee, for the Arun Mehra's home, and that was a enormous find in outside Lucknow. This Art Deco tall ceilinged
Right.
home that we
Right.
refashioned as the bankers' flats of
Right.
Cab. Uh, so we managed. I hope you feel like it is Kolkata.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
This is not the first time you have picked a best-selling book for visual storytelling. The Namesake by Jhumpa Lahiri and The Reluctant Fundamentalist by Mohsin Hamid are two such examples which you worked on previously. What are the pros and cons of adapting popular, very popular novels to movies?
Firstly, the instinct to adapt these novels are not only at all because they are popular. It's because they speak to me in a very deep way that I cannot let them go. Jhumpa's story was like I found a sister in the world when I read it, because I had just lost a parent in a foreign country, and I the misery was, I mean, the melancholy was deep, and in the namesake, I felt like there was somebody in the world who understood what I was going through, and it's always that personal kind of pull that makes me adapt, or makes me, I work with wonderful writers to adapt, but these things. Um, and for in the Suitable Boy, I have to say, it's the 50s. The 50s was an era that was such an idealistic time of our country. We had just achieved freedom, we had just about to find who we are. My parents married in the same year, 51. They traveled from Punjab to Orissa, civil servants, to set up the new capital of Bhubaneswar. I was born 10 years later, but I experienced very much that brick by brick building of a nation through both my family but also the world around us. The socialism, the the banning of foreign goods, the belief in our own self, the belief, of course, in Nehru. um, I always wanted to live in that era, Mitrajit. So that was what pulled me to the privilege, really, of recreating that era in A Suitable Boy. Also, I feel this is so much about us as a people, as a country, and as our own, that I don't, anybody but a Gora to make that, man. I gotta make it, so that's how it works, from the gut, from the heart, really. and
If
and
you don't tell your story, no one will. Thank you, Mira Nair, for talking to me on Teachers Glasses Presents Bollywood Talkies with Outlook. Stay safe and see you soon on the other side of the break.
Thank you so much, and you too. Thanks a lot. In the great realm of the mysterious actor, the actor who has great, like, literally, who carries such a fountain within them, but has already practiced the rigor and the economy of what it takes. Mostly that base is truth. She never fakes it, ever, but she knows the craft also so well. So एक झलक में सब कुछ दुनिया मिलती है.